and low prices. We also ship to the Family Islands.
Peace 107.5 FM, the air of success.
We are in the 5 o'clock hour, and if it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy. Hard copy is a presentation of the McKinney Media Group, copyrights 2015, all rights reserved. The views, statements, and opinions of guests expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the views of the host, sponsors, or operators of this radio station. No part of this program may be copied or reproduced in full or in part without the express written consent of the producers, the McKinney Media Group. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network. Hard Copy seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians just like you to participate with intelligent and honest contributions. After all, friends, we have a country to build. We've got jobs and industry to create, a people to inspire and empower, and generations of born and unborn Bahamians. We the people must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, the question is placed. What now, my fellow Bahamians? What now in the face of all that's happening with Bahama? What now, my fellow Bahamians? What now? This is Hard Copy.
Mommy, I'm hungry. Give me something to eat.
That's the sound of school being out. Fridge opening and closing all day long, courtesy of your always hungry kids. More than ever, you need this week's specials at Super Value and quality supermarkets like Libby's mayonnaise in 32-ounce jar, $2.99. Libby's corn, sliced beets, mixed veg, sliced or diced carrots, and green beans, 16-ounce size, $1.29. Mardi Gras towels, 2 for $3. Alpo dog food, 13-ounce can, $1.19. Boneless chicken breast, $2.99 per pound. Helping you feed the kids this summer. That's Super Value and quality supermarkets.
Introducing Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited. When in trouble, call us on the double. Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited. We provide bail bonds of $10,000 and higher. Has your loved one been arrested or need bail? No worries, don't stress. Contact the best. Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited, First Street, The Grove, above Bronze Break Center. Telephone 325-8363 or email bailbonds@242@gmail.com.
Over the decades, Bahamians have trusted New Oriental Cleaners because New Oriental Cleaners provides quality common care, friendly service, and satisfied customers. Guaranteed. With more than 50 years of experience, we are here for you. Stop in at any of our 9 locations throughout Nassau. New Oriental Cleaners, keeping you looking good is our pride and joy. New Oriental Cleaners. Like us on Facebook and be the first to know of our many promotions.
When it was only the two of them, BTC was there. And when he had to leave, BTC was there to keep them connected. And as the house became a home, BTC made sure that they were never out of reach. Although we know that we are not the only reason your family stays together, we're just happy that we could make it easier for your family to stay connected. BTC, connecting 100% of Bahamians for generations. You deserve it.
Steve McKinney, live, Drive Time Talk.
That's one of the nice things about the Bahamas. Everybody's got an opinion and is free to express it.
In regard to the economy, we talk about the lousy economy. Yes, the economy worldwide is not doing that well, but we also have a hopeful people who are looking with great expectation for many things to happen in this country for them.
The government is fully aware of the problem. We have a mandate from our Prime Minister to do as best we can for and on behalf of the Bahamian people, and every minister is going to do that now.
The Big Show.
It is Friday, the 3rd day in the month of July 2015. As you battle the congested city streets and drive home traffic, we have cloudy skies on the outside, 88 degrees right now, the nation's capital. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited, Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, BTC Every Day, the new Samsung 6, Super Value, Bahamian Supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisement, island-made products made especially for you, Ministry of Tourism's John Canoe Summer Festival beginning tomorrow night, Saturday at Long Walk Beach. AML Foods, Solomon's Fresh Market, and Cartwright teaming up again this weekend for big wow buys and big opportunities to win big cash prizes. Not cash, but I suppose trips to the various islands. Also, we've brought you today by Advantage Insurance and Brokers, New Oriental Laundry, 9 locations to serve you. They're keeping you looking good. Grace Academy, #1, Majestic Clothes, Ron's Electric Motors, they can fix anything. Prime Immigration Services, Sky Bahamas, professionals in every way, every day. Super Value, the all Bahamian supermarket, Super Wash with 11 locations, open 24/7. Seafowl, Cleaner Financial Advisors Limited. The All Andros Regatta, boy, that's where I'm going this weekend. Well, not this weekend, next weekend, the 8th. All the way down there, North Andros. It's going to be good. All Andros Regatta, you want to come down with me. Executive Printers, Henry F. Store, and Le Bleu Ultra Pure Drinking Water, the official water of hard copy. The question, what now, my fellow Bahamians? This whole thing is madness, isn't it? And we've just begun. We asked the question, what now, my fellow Bahamians? Now, we may not be absolutely certain about the future of Bahama, and we might not know how long its resolution will take, but we are sure the government of the Bahamas is working overtime, assiduously, as Allison Maynard Gibson would say, and this has been one hell of a week, and the Prime Minister is having a real rough time dealing with it all. Believe that. After being blindsided by Ismailians' bombshell that Bahama was filing Chapter 11 in the United States, Christie then had to pick up the pieces. It threw him off his chair, really. It threw most of us off our chair. He had to also put on a straight face. He had to remove himself from any state of denial that this can be happening and put on a straight face and then face the nation. He looked to the opposition to share the burden of this quote-unquote national crisis with the government, calling on Hubert Alexander Minnis to come sit with him and work out solutions. Minnis, though, responded that he would have to get advice on this before he could agree to sit with Christie. Now, if that wasn't enough to further depress Christie over this whole matter, some in the public turned on him and accused the Prime Minister, accused Christie, of knowing all along that the bankruptcy filing was coming. Christie called the press conference to straighten out his critics. And he said this, and I quote, "Any claim that the government of the Bahamas or I have been misleading the public as it relates to the status of Bahama is completely false." End of quote. That's what he said. But it's been rough and tumble. Since that time, Bahama lawyers stormed into town to approach the Bahamian courts to enforce their U.S.-granted stay in our jurisdiction to keep the creditors in our jurisdiction off their backs. That was yesterday. They will be heard on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, in our Supreme Court. In the meanwhile, the government of the Bahamas has committed to pay. They committed themselves to pay the salaries of all Bahama employees while delicate negotiations and perhaps court proceedings take place. Bahama employees will have to wait to get paid because the government has to get the payroll information from Bahama. Ismailian apparently is upset with the government and has criticized the government for this move because he said he already had the money available to pay the employees because of the stay that happened in U.S. Jurisdiction, and he got some monies cleared to make sure that he can pay the employees. So he got mad after the Attorney General and them went to court yesterday, and Damien Gomez, the legal affairs man, told the courts that the government of the Bahamas is prepared to pay all the salaries of the Bahama workers, and we're not so sure if that includes expats. But that's what they said. So Ismarillion went from their vex. This matter seems to be getting more and more complex and anxious between the parties involved, perhaps because Ismarillion blindsided the Bahamas government, and apparently his financiers, China Export-Import Bank, which really is none of our business, that part of it. But this blindsided thing has kind of, the talk of it has kind of ticked off some people, and it's a little bit anxious, this situation. Thus, the question today on Hard Copy. What now, fellow Bahamians? What now? What's the next move by either of the parties? Are we the people encouraged that we will still get a mega $3.5 billion project? Are we still believing that we will get that mega $3.5 billion project is still on the table? What now, fellow Bahamians? What now? What's the next move? We know of Tuesday. And apparently, this whole outlook for Tuesday has ticked off some Bahamians, not only Ismarillion, because today, apparently the workers of Bahama, who really everybody has been concerned about, they were gleefully having a protest today on Cable Beach at Goodman's Bay, protesting not Ismarillion or the developers, but protesting Christie and the government. Did you hear what I say? So these workers who got together today, and it was a sizable crowd, and they went marching and singing and having a good time with, as I understand it, banners and placards with the face of Ismarillion on them, a smiling Ismarillion face, because the workers are apparently in support of Sarkis Ismarillion and the Bahama development, and seems to be a little bit upset. Not a little bit, but they expressed that they're upset with the government of the Bahamas. Now, can you believe this? I tell you, this situation is becoming more and more complicated and interesting, and one that will leave your mouth open. See, Sarkis said he wanted to pay, but Christie's government decided to pay when no one asked them to pay. Why? What is that all about? This is where I tell you from yesterday, this is where the gray area is. Why would Christie and the government of the Bahamas want to pay and volunteer to pay these workers? Is there something else that we don't know? Because of Ismarillion, who expressed it in a later statement to his staff members, of which I have a copy, saying that he was ready and willing to pay and had the money to pay. Why would the government decide that they're not going to go with that? They're going to pay. Is it their exuberance to show that they support and believe in Bahamians, and they're looking out for Bahamians? Because if it is, it's a little too late. I'm just wondering, can you help me today? Another thing that's interesting, why when we hear and understand that workers at Bahama went protesting anti-government today on this matter and supportive of Christie and supportive of Ismarillion, we have to wonder what's going on here, because a lot of people watching this are asking the question, and I ask you this question: does it also appear to you that we done get swing? Does it appear to you that we've been used by Sarkis Ismailian and his team? Does that appear to you at this point? See, you've got to keep your eyes on 3 big hotels as a part of that property in the Bahama project. See, these 3 hotels you hear me talking about was supposed to be imploded based on the information we understand in the heads. We understand that we should keep our eyes on those 3 big hotels out west because it's alleged that these hotels are owned by another company of Sarkis Ismailian, and that they are not a part of the Bahama project. Now, if this is real, you have to ask yourself the question, we didn't get swing or what? The hotels I'm talking about, Cable Beach, Malia, Crystal Palace, still standing. We understand even being remodeled. Got a certainly a good paint job. They look good. Who is the owner of those hotels? And how important are those hotels in the configuration of Bahama, which is a different project that now went to get what? Chapter 11. These other hotels are open and operational and making money. But they're not a part of the Bahama project as we had thought. What's happening? What now, my fellow Bahamians? What's the next move? What now? I tell you, while all this is going on, Bahamians, as I said, have been protesting the government today out Cable Beach, out there in Cable Beach. They say they love and support and trust Sarkis Ismailian and that they are angry at the government of the Bahamas. This is another thing to give Christie a headache and depression. I can't understand it either. Maybe some of the protesters today can call me and tell me what's it all about. Because here we are, stuck in the middle of a bad situation, and the government of the Bahamas has decided that they're going to pay the workers of Bahama, those who were sent home unceremoniously from the property earlier this week when Sarkis was filing the Chapter 11. Did you know that they were told, those who were on the property, that they had to leave because they were getting ready to fumigate the building? That don't seem to be something in good faith. And then they got the email that says that, hey, don't come back because there's nothing for you to do since we're not open. But if that's the case, and they were out there today with placards, carrying placards with smiling faces of Ismailian on them, and saying that they are happy and support Ismailian, what's it all about? It appears that Bahama employees are in solidarity with Ismailian. If they are, do we really have a problem? They can work this out. This is a private concern. Maybe they can work this out. Because this is a private project, by the way, I must remind you. And while it may be of an embarrassment to the Bahamas government, the great majority of Bahamian people, and so forth and so on, it seems like something else is going on here now. You know, you all who've been protesting today, please call me and fill me in, because I really believe that what I'm getting on this video that somebody sent me is something that somebody made up in the studio. This cannot be right or real. So maybe you can tell me, what's the deal? Because this particular situation is going to take some time. And whatever you say about Christie, even though it was foolish, in my opinion, for the government to quickly run and say they're going to pay and take responsibility to pay all the employees of Bahama who've been laid off and those who are no longer there, or whatever it is. We don't know if there's just Bahamians or expats. That may have been a little premature to do. But maybe, you know, they smarter than me. Maybe it's a big legal strategy as to why they did that. I want to put that on the table. But to have done that and to now hear today that there are workers who are saying that they are in solidarity as employees with Ismarillion, I have to make this comment. No wonder SARC Ismarillion addresses the employees at Bahama as the Bahama Nation. Nation. Keyword, nation. Sounds like a different independent country to me. In other words, these guys are together. They're a nation. They call themselves the Blue Nation. That's loaded. But maybe you can call me and tell me what's happening. 325-0235 or 325-0242 325-0253 is how you can call me. You can BlackBerry me at 376-9234. That's how you get me. Follow me on the World Wide Web at peace1075.com. Go to the cable top box 970. Tune in radio, any Android, iPhone, iPad. You can get us. Follow us on Facebook, Hard Copy, and on Twitter, Hard Copy Bahamas. Because I thought that was a little bit of a sweet information today, looking at the video that we will post on Facebook. And yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to understand what is happening. I'm getting little notes now from different places right now, so pay attention, friends. There may be some breaking news. There may be some breaking news in a few minutes right here on Hard Copy. Hang tight. Hard Copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing, buddy?
Very good, very good.
JT here.
JT, how you been? You've been away. You've been a part of the Blue Nation.
No, I'm not unaffiliated with Bahama, so I couldn't speak firsthand.
Mm.
But a couple of things quickly. Firstly, I understand somewhat why the employees are supporting Mr. Ismarillion as they are.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
I have a friend who works there,
mm-hmm.
and from what this person has shared with me, Ismarillion treats them with the greatest respect
mm-hmm.
as employees.
Wonderful. That's great.
That's why I believe they are now in support of him, because that's what that friend of mine
mm-hmm.
would have told me.
Well, Bahamians are very appreciative.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, what goes around comes around, eh?
Well, if the man been treating them good and now he finds himself in a position where he needs support, I suppose I can understand that.
Yeah.
But what about the big picture? What now, my fellow Bahamians? What about the big picture? The big picture being that we are in a crisis.
Yes.
The government of the Bahamas is in a place where the embarrassment is unbelievable. Embarrassment is an understatement here. The world is watching. We don't have the requisite funds to do what we need to do. We have a monstrosity standing in the middle of the road out west. We don't know when it's going to be built, when it's going to be finished. We don't know anything. All we know is that we are stuck, and it feels like we're stuck in quicksand with this filing of Chapter 11 in the United States jurisdiction. And now Ismarillion and his lawyers, they are upset with what is happening here in our jurisdiction because we want to take our time, it appears.
Which is why they didn't probably file here first, huh?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. These guys have top-class lawyers. Their lawyers are world travel. They know about these things, and apparently this is nothing new to Ismarillion as a businessman. He has been in this position before, and he has maneuvered quite well.
Well, you know, let me just quickly say, Steve, in respect to the government's decision to pay those salaries,
mm-hmm.
I see that as a political move.
It is a political move, and that's why I'm asking why. Why would you preempt something by doing what you're doing if you got a case pending and you're going to court on Tuesday?
The government is trying to save face on this one, and obviously people ain't buying the political move.
Well, if they're trying to save face with the workers of the Bahamas,
It ain't
those
like it.
workers were on Goodman's Bay today, having a jolly good time,
It ain't
singing
like it.
praises to Sarkis's Marillion, and we have been here before with somebody singing praises to a man,
Right.
and not to the Lord God our Savior.
Yeah, exactly.
Which may be why we are in this predicament where we're here, because maybe there are people, I'm not saying those today, but maybe there are people who look at this big project as the savior, as the big idealistic savior that's going to get us over the hump. And the Lord can be pleased with it.
It never should be that any man or any entity is being looked at as one source, because God is a jealous God.
There
He
you
is
go.
the source of all good, perfect things.
Yep.
So if we start giving credit to things that the credit ain't supposed to be going to, ultimately, then yes, God will have a problem with that.
Well,
The last thing I'd like to ask you, Steve, do you know of what amount of ownership the country has in Bahama? I'm asking this for a very deliberate reason. Do you know what stake our government has in terms of ownership in Bahama?
no, not that I know of.
Okay,
They have not declared any.
right. But let me see. This is why I'm asking. Is it true from your sources, Steve, that our government gave $1 billion
Yes, that's true. The government admits that.
dollars worth of concessions?
$1 billion worth of concessions. This is staggering.
And Steve,
And all that land that would have been included would have been basically turned over for the record so that there can be ownership showed for the land. That's a part of the agreement, and that would have been done by a simple transaction
where's the
to
ownership?
show transfer, and they might have done that for $1 or $2 or whatever. That's just how it's
Steve,
done.
let me just be very honest about something. When I first heard Mr. Ismillion talk, as I felt then, I still feel now that the man genuinely loves this country. That's my personal conviction.
He may be. Maybe he does.
Believes he wants
lives
to do
there.
the right thing by the Bahamian people. I like the idea that he came up with, but he should have not done it in one phase.
Yeah, well, that's water under the bridge now, JT.
I know, of course,
It's a little late to talk
But see,
about
the
that.
point is now, it's water under the bridge, but not a bridge crumbling.
Well,
There's all that water flowing under the bridge, Steve.
I see. And maybe if they'd flow water into Bahama, that will crumble in reality. They
Our
have not been
country
flowing
is-
water there anymore, even though the architectural design called for that.
But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I understand you. I understand you clearly.
We are now facing, I understand, in 3 months' time, if this thing ain't resolved, a downgrade.
Yeah, no, we are facing a credit rating downgrade now because
Because of it?
when the projections come out from Standard & Poor's and all the others, what happens is that they're looking at the projection of growth in the economy and how monies are going to come into it because of a major, mega, billion-dollar project like what we have at Bahama. Now that that's taken a different route, and it's not so certain. There's no more certainty in this as to where it will go. Certainly, our economy will take a licking, and by extension, so many other businesses that are affiliated with this particular company, the success of it, of course we'll falter, so we won't have any growth there. We will have a negative impact on this thing. And I see that the governor of the Bahamas has quickly gone and said in their press release through BIS that, look, you know what's going to happen? They say, we're still going to be okay because we've got other properties elsewhere with the same kind of equity, the same kind of impact to attract the monies that we need, so we should be okay. That along with what? Value-added tax. It's not.
Where are they?
It's not going to be able to do it. Let's be realistic. It's not going to be able to do it.
Steve, the biggest mistake, and I will conclude on this note, the biggest mistake our government has made over the years, two fundamental ones. Not putting faith in the Bahamian people in terms of us encouraging us and supporting us to own this economy, and not diversifying this economy.
Wow.
This is a classic example as to how dangerous a mega project can be to a country's economy if it fails.
Yeah, because we put all of our eggs in one basket. JT, it is good to hear from you today, my friend.
You too, man. Take care.
Do well. All the best. Yeah, it is not good to put all your eggs in one basket. Mama told you that a long time. Because if you're doing the eggs crack, you got no breakfast. You got nothing to eat. What is happening here is unbelievable, really. A couple of missteps, in my view, and I'm no lawyer, that is happening already. One, our local creditors here, those who are going to be able to need that money from Bahama before this whole thing goes to another jurisdiction and stays there, they have not yet filed for anything to this day, to this moment. That's one. Two, you're talking millions of dollars here, not only from private sector investors and many stores that have up to 21 floor spaces inside that place. You remember I told you about this months ago, about a particular jewelry perfume shop that got 21 floor spaces, and I roused Sandy Sands right on this show for not allowing the other Bahamians to participate and get floor space so that they can also trade their wear. One of the gentlemen who wanted to get floor space was a major black Bahamian business fellow. I have to say it just like that, because they know the reasons why. And good thing he ain't get no floor space, because he could not absorb this kind of delay, 7-month delay and loss. He couldn't absorb that. He'd go to business. So it's interesting what is happening here. And I want to say here, as we open the lines for anyone who wants to call and straighten things out and tell me what now, my fellow Bahamians, tell me, I'm listening. Because it's kind of interesting to me today. I can't really get my mind around it yet, that people who are employees of that project, notwithstanding the love and respect that Mr. Ismailian perhaps has for them, and in fact has demonstrated to them, we're in a national crisis here where the government has decided that they're going to pay. Them deciding that they are going to pay means that Ismailian has to turn over, well, the Bahama project has to turn over all of the, all of the payroll, the information, the relevant information, so the payment can happen, and that perhaps will not happen until next week. But this is a government trying their best to help a bad situation as best as they can, and then when you see the protests against them by people who work at Bahama, based on the information I'm looking at on the video, then it means then that something ain't jiving right here. Something is out of place. I don't know what it is, so you tell me. 325-023516, 325-024243, 325-0252 or 53 on this blessed Friday afternoon on Hard Copy. Because really, the truth is, you would think that the whole nation of the Bahamas, not the Bahama nation, which is a different group of people, that we'd all be together on this to work it out. But the first thing that happened today was a letter that was sent to the staff when soccer started out like this by saying, I must share with you some very disappointing news. So he writes to the staff. Say, following a request of the Office of the Attorney General of the Bahamas, the Bahamian Supreme Court granted an adjournment until Tuesday, July 7, 2015, of the hearing of Bahama's application for recognition of the U.S. bankruptcy proceedings. This adjournment, unfortunately, makes it impossible at this time to not act on the U.S. court's approval we received yesterday, which would allow us at this time, among other things, to pay salaries and benefits for Bahama citizens. Hear that word again? Not employees, citizens, Bahama citizens. As we pay ordinary course suppliers and vendors for goods and services post the commencement of Chapter 11 process. It says yesterday the U.S. court granted Bahama its requested financing, and approved our motion to operate and fund our own payroll, Saka says, which we were ready to do. He says, however, the Attorney General then requested that instead the government should step in and pay the salaries of more than 2,200 Bahama employees for the period ending July 3rd, 2015. As a result, says Ismailian, the Bahamian Supreme Court directed Bahama to provide the government with the information necessary to make that happen. Unfortunately, he says, this will delay salaries. This will delay when salaries are paid until such time as the government makes those payroll arrangements. Additionally, the court is allowing the government to pay salaries now. We do not currently have access to funding for other costs. He says, additionally, although the court is allowing the government to pay salaries now, we do not currently have access to funding for the other costs. He says, I cannot sugarcoat the concerns that have arisen as a result of the government's objections today, meaning yesterday. As we have made clear all week, time is of the essence. Having Bahamas succeed is extremely important to the long-term economic well-being of the country. We will do our very best at the rescheduled Supreme Court hearing to gain the needed negotiations we are seeking from this court, and we are disappointed, says Ismaridian, we are disappointed by the government's unorthodox objection. He says, citizens of Bahama, I am working as hard as I can on as many fronts as possible to move matters along toward completion and opening of the Bahama project. Our extensive efforts to reach a compromise with our lender and our contractor have been fruitless so far. If we continue to be prevented from taking advantage in the Bahamas of the U.S. Chapter 11 process for very much longer, drastic and regrettable steps, including substantial staff reduction, will have to be taken. He says, thank you for your tremendous support you have shown over the past few days. I am heartened by your emails and calls. You have shown the strength of our culture, and for that I salute you. Thank you. Signed, Ismaridian. That's what he told his employees at Bahama, who he calls Bahama citizens. Hard copy, how are you?
Hello?
Hi there.
Yes, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Well, Steve, I do agree with everything you're saying, and as always, you're right on target. You know, thank you for doing such a good job as always.
I appreciate it.
Yes, but I should say, I think this is a bit of an embarrassment, actually, for the government. It's just the fact that they're trying to save face by putting this money up. You know, they give away $1 billion because it was in hard currency. You know, but now they have to try to save face. But I think it's a bit beyond that now, because we need to not only is he blindsided, but like I just said, he was embarrassed as well. So that's the reason why his efforts are being frustrated in these courts here. And in down home terms, I guess we get swing, you know, because our leaders wasn't on the board and make a bad deal, and then now, just like the other deals, you know, the BAMZ, that wouldn't have come to light if nothing happened. Everything went well with this project. Its bad deals wouldn't have come to light, but they will shortly now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So,
I can only ask you, my friend, now that all this has happened, what now, fellow Bahamian? What now? What is our position now? What do we do with all this revelation that you're getting? The fact is that there are employees from the Bahama nation, who Ismaridian calls Bahama citizens. You know, people sometimes take these kind of things lightly. Sometimes people take these types of situations lightly. When certain names are used and certain styles are used and how people say things, don't take it lightly. Never take those things lightly, considering the circumstances.
Yes, it's not something they stick it in the way, but it's not that I'm taking it lightly, but the fact of the matter is, you know, you can call me what you want, but if you don't put meat in the rice, ain't nothing happening.
Well, listen, that's just the point. You see what you said just now? You could call me what you want. He calls them citizens. if you ain't putting no meat in the rice. Now, from what we know, he ain't got no meat to put in the rice or no meat and rice at all because he don't got no money.
Government trying to prevent him from getting access to it.
But the point what I'm making is this, that the people who he has influenced in this whole matter, who happens to be his employees, they seem to be down with him. Do you know that term? I'm down with that, you know. You down with OPP? I'm down with that. I'm for that, in other words.
That is Steve OPP. When you should say that.
Well, but no, I'm just saying that because I wanted to let you know that the generation I'm from, that's the last hip talk that I knew. You know, the fellas them say it's probably something else now, but in my time, the last hip talk that I knew of was, you down with OPP? Yes, you know me. So if you down with OPP, that means, yeah, you into that.
That's what they're dealing with, OPP. That's what they're trying to explain to you. Nice.
Well, see, if they're happy, my friend, then, you know, let them be happy. See, I only want what the Bahamian people want. If my Bahamians, fellow Bahamians, are happy with the situation that they have, I want to support that because they are more intimately involved than I am. I'm just a journalist on the outside who don't have access to Ismarillion, and I never been called a citizen by Ismarillion. So they may know something else as to why they are feeling the kind of love and the solidarity and the support. See, from where I sit, I'm thinking that they're upset because they're gone home. They were told don't come back right now because we ain't got no money. But if they're down there and they're saying, hey, you know, we down with OPP, then it means that they're okay. I shouldn't be worrying. And in a way, I feel good that I don't have to worry about that no more. If they are happy, you know, maybe I could relax in troubling the throne of grace to make sure that they're okay.
Well, I don't know that they're happy, but I think they might be in a bit of denial and shock and, you know.
You mean after 5 days they're still in shock?
They're confused and frustrated,
I see. Okay, well, you know, I'll put it on the table. Let me see what happens. Okay, I appreciate your call.
Certainly.
All right, happy. 1, 2. Let's go to some. We have some calls. I've got to get these calls in.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Pretty good. I was on the march today.
Okay.
I work at the Bahamas Resort. At least I used to. So I don't know what the future holds. But from what I could see, whoever Ismarillion go with is who we go with. And if he turn against this government, they can tell it to the Most High. That's it for them. Trust me, Mr. McKinney.
But I hear you, and I appreciate you calling me. But I want to know, what's this really all about? What is happening? Fill me in, because I think I missed something here. You're saying that you used to work there, and if the people down there are going with Ismarillion, right? If they're going with the chief, that's what's going to happen. That means if they're gone against the real CEO of the country, the chief executive, that's it for them, meaning Christie them.
IT.
Okay, so why would the people be protesting against Christie when Christie is trying to get the money?
Well, Dardell, only him and his cabinet could explain that. He know what's going on. But let him know. Every single one of us, the Bahamas, we represent a whole soul. And trust me, if all us be put out of job from now to Bahamas, I don't speak good volume. We need to call election within the next 30 days.
Wow. You're saying that Christie needs a new mandate.
Okay.
I understand you clearly. How many people are out there with you all today?
I said about 2,000.
And y'all were celebrating Ismarillion.
He's the only one who coming up front and letting us know what's going on.
Wow. So y'all didn't get paid today, right?
Well, no.
But you all are going to get paid very shortly, you think?
Well, I hope.
Ismarillion said in a letter to the citizens of Bahama that he had the money ready, but Christie and those gone in court and said that they can pay it. What do you make of that?
One month paycheck, he ain't help us. Nah, he ain't help us. The man who could help us, they need to let him do what he has to do.
So, but I mean, you mean the file for the bankruptcy and all that? He's already done that. That's now a work in process. That's now happening. What do you understand that to mean? Do you think that that's something that's going to happen within a couple of weeks and everything will be back to normal?
Well, I hope and I pray that it gets back to normal.
All right.
Like I said, from what I saw and what I heard today, if election is called within the next 30 days or next week or whenever, that's IT for who in there now.
Okay. I hear you loud and clear. I appreciate your call.
Okay.
Thank you kindly. Hard copy, how are you?
Well, Mr. McKinney, I'm lost.
Me too, but you know.
After hearing that, well, I still voice my opinion, right? My opinion is that Mr. Ismailian did not like what the government did on Tuesday. He thought that he could have just, after filing in Delaware and in England, with the pressure and how Christie and those want this thing done so bad, he thought he maybe could have just skipped in the court and just have his way. I think what he's trying to do is galvanize the people that work for him against the government, trying to get them to put pressure on the government. I don't think that the Christie government is as ignorant as people trying to make them seem. I believe that by the lady saying, well, we'll pay it this month. I believe that they need to buy time to clearly see what is going on. And maybe the fact that they're going to pay it, I don't know how they're going to recoup the money back. Maybe it's worth paying that $7 million just to get enough time to recoup, to see what's going on. And so the people to Bahama, I don't know if they heard the release today, but he said that if it's prolonged in the Bahamian court, Ismailian said that if it's prolonged in the Bahamian court, he'll be forced to do drastic measures.
Yes.
So I hope that these Bahama workers don't feel like this man is in love with them. It's about business. You and Mr. Paul Moss discussed it yesterday. It's business. I don't think that he was wrong. He just took advantage of his opportunity. I believe that our government and what we did as far as planning the Bahama and getting everything on paper, maybe we lacked putting in with our interest, but it's business, and I believe that if Mr. Ismailian needs to turn his back on those people and say, oh, well, that's it, he would do that and sleep very good in the night. So I want him to just take things in and take their time, because it looked kind of fishy to me. I don't believe it's this love fest. Oh, Bahama citizens, your government costing me to do this to yours. I don't quite buy it, sir.
I appreciate your call. You may be onto something there. So let me ask another question for my dear listeners today, and you can call me. Does this mean that Ismailian has taken on a different facade? He is now, it appears that he is projecting himself out there as the leader of the Bahama nation. And he showed today that he must be the leader of the Bahama nation because the troops were out on the march today. The lady says about 2,000. And that they're saying that, look, if they don't hurry up get this done, Christie them gone. She says that's IT for them. She says they want an election in 30 days. Now, I know that as you listen today and you're driving, you're trying to make sense of what the hell is this. So am I. Let's go with it. You down with OBP? Let's go with it. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve McKinney.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Fort Charlotte, US of A. You zip code there?
Man, I live in Fort Charlotte, and when the Blue Nation came to Fort Charlotte, I was surprised that they got permits to be in Fort Charlotte. They didn't come through the community of Fort Charlotte to ask permission.
No, but this must be the US of A. I mean, see, I told you from the get-go, when Mr. Christie made that speech, he should have laid out Mr. Ismailian, how disgusted I am of you. And I told you how they're going to be looking at them with that pit bull look. When I think of him, I think of Penland, I think of a foreign investor or Ingram. I mean, I would crush him because he trying to take this out of a Bahamian court. Ain't nothing to do with America. This is Bahamian land and Chinese money. How we get in America? That's the point there. The chapter 11 and all the chapter, he knew our law is we can liquidate.
Yeah, there's no chapter 11 in our jurisdiction.
Yes,
we can only wound up the business.
Nothing to do with America. Yeah. Nothing. But he go, for a couple of dollars, really walk downtown with KK on our back. We Million know Allison ain't playing with him. She done did what she had to do, and her and the XM bike, they can XM right out the picture.
I hear you. Okay. Well, we don't know. See, this thing is before the Bahamian court, not jurisdiction. And I want to tell you this as a responsible individual and a Bahamian who loves the country and support what Bahamians do. The government of the Bahamas, in my point, is an error. But they are the lawyers. They know what they're doing. They appear to be an error to me on one point, and that is volunteering to pay salaries. I think that may have been a little premature. Maybe on Tuesday they could say something like that. But I suppose they had to do that to get the delay to put Sarkis and them into a bind to provide the papers to pay the people, which is going to take a couple of days. So I think Sarkis may have seen that as, oh, they neutralized me, they nullified my efforts, and I have to wait and go through the process, which is smart from the government of the Bahamas. I will tell you that. I don't know why the people here who are owed monies, the businesses, and you're going to hear them crying in a couple of weeks. Don't worry about that. They're going to be coming public. Just keep reading the business pages of the newspapers. Keep listening to hard copy. You'll see it. Because they seem to be paralyzed as to what they should do when they know what this jurisdiction calls for. It doesn't have anything to do with Chapter 11. That's a United States thing. In our way, in our courts, by the laws of what we're supposed to be following, we're supposed to have that thing taken to court today and wound up, liquidate, get your monies out, get things moving. But that can't happen, so the government may have been trying to neutralize the people from doing that too by acting in the way they are, because they, the government, want this project to happen so bad, they don't want to hear no talk about winding up. Do you see? And that's why Alison Maynard Gibson, the noted Attorney General, was very candid with what she said. And if you read between the lines, the government is pissed off. And they should be. They were blindsided. We know that now that they were, because they don't know what's going on. So they got to make sure that they know what is going on, and so they're going to go through the courts. That's a good thing to do. And maybe some things will be revealed by next week. So pay attention. So maybe they had to. Maybe it's a strategy that they had to do this thing that they're going to pay. Because what Bahamian you know? Now let's be real. Let's talk some Bahamian here today. What Bahamian you know can walk away from money that the government said they can pay? Please show him to me so I can know who he is and let me check his papers. What Bahamian you know can balk at money guaranteed by the government of the Bahamas, and today, in a preemptive move, decides to have a march of protest against that same government, the substantive government in their country? You tell me what Bahamian. So something else is going on there, friends. And we mustn't be foolish. Something else is going on. Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hi there.
Well, Steve, I was already doing all this kerfuffle with keeping up to date with the Internet.
Yes.
But you know something?
What?
What Sarkis Morellian has done is wrong. He is out of order, and he has taken the Bahamas government for task-free. So when the Attorney General now came back, because that has to be approved by the Bahamian court, he has taken grave offense. Now, the problem I have is he has been able to convince the Bahamian people, the staff there, who are so gullible and doesn't understand what is going on. But I give the Prime Minister wrong for not explaining to the Bahamian people exactly what is going on. He had his opportunity. I didn't hear him. I wasn't here when he gave his press release or when he some live to do address to the nation. However, that was his opportunity then, if he hadn't done it, to lay out to the Bahamian people what was going on. Now, Chapter 11 is not in our jurisdiction at all. It has nothing to do with liquidation. What Chapter 11 does is it allows you to restructure.
Yes.
It says, exactly, it says to your creditors, Action Bank, the Chinese bank, It says to them, stand down. You can't touch me. You can't touch this.
Exactly. He's protecting the assets. We.
That is wrong. Ismailian has done something that is morally wrong and egregious, and it shows that he is greedy. He is only looking after himself. He has no interest in the Bahamian people whatsoever, or even in dealing with his creditors. That is saying to your creditors, stand down. In Bahamianese, nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. You're going to tell me he's saying to the Chinese, the Exim Bank, stand down. Don't move. And by going into Chapter 11, he's now able, he has about 18 months, he can have money, he can bring in new people to fund the project, to finish the project. The project to be finished if it's about 200 to 300 million. He then will bring in new people. Now you still have a problem because he cannot avoid his creditors. He cannot avoid the Exim Bank. He cannot avoid them. But he's saying to them, you all cannot take this property. You can't foreclose. So what I think he's trying to do and what's going to happen, if he brings in new people, there's still going to be a fight at the end of the day. Because there's going to be a fight as to who owns what.
So we're in for a long ride.
A long ride. But but what he has been able to convince the people, he didn't tell the people the whole story. He said to his staff, I would have thought, to have gotten them so riled up. Look, I am in a bind, but this Chapter 11 I have come under. And he didn't have to have his company form in the U.S. Any tangential relationship to the U.S., he had purveyors in the U.S., he probably have a bank account in the U.S., he will be entertained by the U.S. Chapter 11 court. So he would have said to his people, look, we're in a bind now. But if the court would approve this, see, the government is stopping me from getting this money. The government is stopping me from putting bread on your table. And that's disingenuous. Because he was not paying the bloody people anyhow. I said on your show one Sunday, he was paying some of them $180 and some $100. When are we as Bahamians going to learn sense? He was not paying them their full salary, and I challenge anybody who would have gotten their full salary to call your show and to say, that caller is not speaking the truth, I got my full salary. And if they say that, I will say, show me the pay stubs. Because they did not get their full salary, they were getting $100 here, $100 there, and $180 was the highest he was paying them. When the government pays them their salary now, this would be the first time they got their full salary. But in addition to that, the government had to do this now. Because, see, Ismailian don't have the money yet now.
Yeah.
To be approved by the Bahamian court. We thought we were going to be like, you see, the government has this.
But listen, something else is happening. You provoke a thought in my mind just now. You know, when the government made a declaration, when Damien Gomez, a very clever lawyer, who is the government's Minister of Legal Affairs.
And they're going to court on the big case.
Yeah, see, when he said yesterday in that hearing that we will do this, it seems so crazy to me. But you know what I'm starting to think? Maybe it's just to get the effect of them to send the papers down the payroll. The government perhaps now is going to take a forensic look at this payroll that is alleged to be the payroll of Bahama employees. Do you see that?
Yes.
So if they provide the papers, you will know that Steve makes $50, Nathan makes $100, and all the other charges that they have to do. See, that payroll is very important.
Of course.
The information on that, and it seems as if that is a thorn in the side of those who are a part of the Bahama citizens, the Blue Nation, because he spoke to it in a letter to them, that they will now have to get all the information because the court has made them turn over the information of payroll to them so that the government can go and execute the payroll. So there's something, I ain't no lawyer, Calfine, but there's something to do with this payroll to see what probably the numbers are.
Exactly.
And that may be the beginning of bursting this whole bubble.
Exactly. And if he was that, and he's indignant, he is indignant. In other words, how dare this government do this to me?
Well, listen, you hear what you said? And you're not wrong, because guess what? If he could have influenced the Bahama nation of citizens today.
So those people only...
But wait a second. If he could have done that, and they are all, and you heard the lady call me just now, they are all in this position that, boy, we with him because he's the only one who's looking out for us, and it seems like he's told the government is against you guys because they don't want you. Whatever he did. The point what I'm making is that if he has been able to influence them like that, with money on the table to be paid, there's a bigger picture here that we don't see. All right?
But not only that, Steve. If he was so interested in their welfare, number one, he would have been paying them more than $100 and $180. Where has all the money gone?
Well, see, that's why I'm saying to you that the payroll is going to declare exactly who gets what, and we'll see how it adds up.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, I've got to run. I've got a bunch of calls, and I've got to run to the break. Those of you who are holding right now, please hold the lines. Do not hang up. I have to pay these bills right now. This is Hard Copy.
Entrepreneurs, are you missing out on sales because you don't accept credit card payments? Then BLB has the solution for you. Introducing BLB Mobile Express, the most affordable mobile card processing package for self-employed persons. With BLB Mobile Express, you can accept credit card payments almost anywhere on your smartphone or tablet, so you never have to miss a sale. Get paid on the spot with BLB Mobile Express. Visit any BLB branch or call us at 397-3000. BLB, your bank of solutions.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
Get ready for the All-Andress and Berry Island Regatta, July 9th through 11th. Morgan's Bluff, July 9th through 11th.
Andress, here we go!
Regatta sites open Thursday, July 9th. Opening ceremonies include members of the Regatta Committee and its affiliates. North Andress United Choir, the Ramming Brothers, Pastor Denzel Roland Son, Church of God of Prophecy, Brass Band Plus, Watermelon Contest, Crab Catching Contest, and more. Friday, July 10th, the activities start from 10 a.m. Boat races, plus performances by Fusion Dancers, Ruben G, KB, Sammy Sword, Gino D. Then beginning 8 a.m. Saturday morning. Lots of contests and surprises. Saturday night, it's the Sailors Awards presentation and local talent competition. The All-Andress Fashion Show Extravaganza. Entertainment by Metellus Shipman, a.k.a. the Obeah Band, Ron Moxie, D-Max, The Lead. 3:30 a.m. and Jump in the Rush Hour by the All-Andress Crew. Don't miss the All-Andress and Berry Island Regatta, July 9th through the 11th.
When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. The plane them spanking clean. The pilots their first red. They fly you out on time. They fly the attendants red. Service is their passion. With you they take good care. Safety is their culture. Yes, they'll get you there. When I fly.
Fly with us to Fort Lauderdale or the beautiful Bahama Islands. Book today at 702-2600 or visit our website at skybahamas.net and experience Sky.
Are you frustrated with the educational system? Tired of large classes and social promotion? Tired of paying exorbitant fees for dismal results? Then Grace Academy is the solution for you. Individual learning plans to guarantee student academic success. Low student-teacher ratio. Reasonable and affordable tuition. All in a safe and comfortable Christian learning environment. Grace Academy, home of the Bob Jones curriculum, grades K3 through 6. Ask about our homeschooling center for secondary students. To register or for more information, contact 361-5100 or godslittle17@gmail.com. Number 1, Chester's Close, Vincent Road off St. Vincent Road.
Commonwealth Bank auto loans are as hassle-free and easy as it gets. It's just that simple.
With on-the-spot dealer reps to approve and help you through the process, you're right, it really is just that simple.
With the many options available, like insurance financing, low down payments, and easy monthly payments, Commonwealth Bank had all the flexibility I needed in an auto loan.
Thanks, CB. Thanks, CB, for making it quick and easy.
Commonwealth Bank, leader in personal banking services.
Having trouble getting sorted out with your immigration paperwork? Put your concerns in proven and capable hands. Prime Immigration Services, providing full services in all matters of immigration. Status permits, work permits, spousal permits, and even matters relating to detainment. Prime Immigration Services is located 1st Street, The Grove. Call 325-8363. Prime Immigration Services.
The best insurance in town is Advantage Insurance on Collins Avenue. They are simply the best because they provide easy, affordable insurance rates for home, car, business, or whatever is valuable or important to you. Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, is the fastest, most progressive insurance company in the Bahamas because they really take care of you by making insurance totally affordable. Call them now at 356-0285 or 6, or email them at info@advantagebahamas.com.
Introducing Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited. When in trouble, call us on the double. Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited. We provide bail bonds of $10,000 and higher. Has your loved one been arrested or need bail? No worries, don't stress. Contact the best. Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited, 1st Street, The Grove, above Bronze Brick Center. Telephone 325-8363 or email bailbonds@242@gmail.com.
There's no other talk show like the show. If it's 5 o'clock, it's Hard Copy.
Welcome back to Hot Copy this afternoon. There's breaking news here this afternoon. As I told you, we're now getting the information from a press release that was just sent to me by Nikki Simmons from the Office of Prime Minister. And that is that the government of the Bahamas has stepped in and they have paid Bahama employees. It is dated today's date, says that the government of the Bahamas made a payment of $2 million to cover salaries of the Bahamian employees at Bahama. Arrangements were made to deposit wages to the pay period, ending the 28th of June 2015, to the bank accounts of all employees. This is news coming in right now by a press release, to us at least, from the Office of Prime Minister, that talks about that the government today made payments of $2 million to cover salaries for the Bahamian employees. The Bahamian employees of Bahama. Arrangements, as the press release, were made to deposit wages for the pay period ending the 28th of June 2015 to the bank accounts of the employees. Of course, the release goes on to say the government is committed to ensuring the successful opening of Bahama, as the project is of great national importance. To this end, the government is taking the necessary steps to ensure that all parties come to the negotiation table on equal footing and that the national interest of the Bahamas is front and center. Once completed, says the press release, Bahama will be a world-class resort and will attract more tourists to the Bahamas. We must all work together to ensure its successful opening. The Prime Minister, says the press release, continues to encourage all parties to return to the negotiating table. The government will continue to take decisive measures while at the same time prioritizing the interest of the Bahamas and all Bahamians. So again, this is breaking news to us here on Hard Copy that the government has in fact stepped in. We're just getting this release now from the Office of Prime Minister. The government has stepped in and made payments of $2 million to cover salaries of the Bahamian employees of Bahama, and that arrangements were made to deposit wages for the pay period ending the 28th of June 2015 to the bank accounts of the employees. Now, that is one of the releases that we have received from the Office of Prime Minister. There is another, I suppose, and it just simply says this. It says, notice the government of the Bahamas. It says to all Bahamian Bahama employees. It goes to great lengths to says to all Bahamian Bahama employees. The government of the Bahamas has made arrangements to deposit your wages to your bank accounts. This was an earlier one that was a part of this draft that I received just now. So the government has stepped in to pay, and they've paid $2 million today to the accounts of the many 2,200 workers who are working. These are Bahamian workers at Bahama. So there you have it. That is what is happening right now. And what does that mean? Does that change the outlook now from these people, the employees who are out there protesting the government today and hearing information that the government did not have their best interests at heart because they were trying to cause problems with Ismarillion not being able to process payment for them? Apparently the government has already done so. And let's see as we go to the lines what that means for the many people who have been holding. I thank you for holding. Let's go back to the lines. Hard copy, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, Mr. McKinney. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you kindly.
Mr. McKinney, I wanted to draw a point to your attention here. Here it is. In regards to Bahama, what we're basically being told, or I should say we're being distracted in terms of the salary issues. If we look at the bigger issue of what is going on,
right.
I draw it to your attention. Approximately about 3 months ago, there was a hotel and casino in Atlantic City called Rebel Hotel.
Yeah.
That was touted as to be the biggest thing to ever hit Atlantic City, and the build-out was supposed to be $2.5 billion. Do you know, Mr. McKinney, that same $2.5 billion hotel that filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy
was sold for $85 million?
Sold for exactly $82 million to be precise.
$82 million. I saw it somewhere today. I can't remember where, but yeah.
So
this is interesting. So if this one happens and they sell this one, you're saying that we may have the same luck.
That is the scenario we're looking at, and I would even bolster my argument even further. Just look at what happened in West and Grand Bahama with Ginn.
Yes.
Ginn found himself in a situation whereby financing was a real issue. And when Bahama was being touted to be brought into the Bahamas, it was advised that it was not a good time because of the financial climate.
Yes. I remember.
And he still basically trudged ahead, and he went to what is considered the last bank of choice, which is the China Ex-Import Bank. Now, I say this to basically put a beacon out to my fellow Bahamians. This may seem like a bad thing, but I see it as an opportunity. When I say an opportunity, Bahamians in the past have been able to put together consortiums to make bids for BTC and other multi-million organizations.
Yes.
This is the time now for Bahamians to come together in those same consortiums and prepare themselves to buy Bahama for pennies on a dollar.
Food for thought.
I hope it gets into the hands of the right people who got enough sense to do it.
I appreciate you very much.
Have a good one.
Thank you kindly. All the best. Okay. What say you? I asked you a question earlier today. What now, my fellow Bahamians, that we have reached this point in our program schedule, is how they say it. If they were in a room full of people, they say, now that we've reached this part of the program, what now, my fellow Bahamians? Hard copy, how are you?
Yes, a pleasant afternoon, Mr. McKinney.
Yes, sir.
Mr. McKinney, I listened to you had a very healthy conversation with Cal Fane.
Yes.
In reference to the mindset, where she spoke a little to the mindset of Mr. Ismaili. But you know something, Mr. McKinney? Where is the government in all this with CLECO?
Yeah, that's the thing. What people are going to start asking if you're going to start paying salaries and
this
stuff.
Is one of the reasons why we always wonder, why do the government, previous and now, continue to make the same mistake? Why couldn't monies be held in escrow for such a time as this? See, you know, when you have a
Hindsight is
party and you're
20/20.
drinking your taffy or whatever, and your crystal and stuff,
Not the taffy now.
this is the time you're supposed to be thinking about the Bahamian people and don't let the liquor get to your head. Because when something like this happens, you can always go back to the money that I have in escrow and pay the Bahamian people.
Yes.
And we know what the economy is like.
The way we're going to do that, hopefully going forward with a new government and new ideas and new people in government, is that we're going to make them put up bonds. And once they have that money put aside in this escrow, we'll be able to get those things and make sure that people are taken care of when there are situations like this.
But you know, Mr. McKinney, you know, that's why we just always say, and you all just believe it might be repetition, when we continue to say, we thank God that you have persons like yourselves who have been afforded to open the airway and is liberal in his thinking. And not only liberal, but have common sense because you know the history.
Yes.
And you and many other talk show hosts who knows the history of things that go on now in the past and continue to see it happen. And when you all speak truth to issue, then persons just have a problem.
Yes, they take sanctions against you. We pay mightily for this kind of stuff.
And it's high time we move away from that and put persons who are able to speak truth to issue and make things happen. Like I always say, if Bahama was the biggest project, I feel as though a person like a Damien Gomez and Mr. Alcides should be sitting at that round table.
Yeah.
Because they're the persons right now who they're young, they have the ability to extrapolate, and also when persons trying to pull the wool over their eyes, that's their field.
I understand. Well, my friend, I appreciate your call. You said a mouthful today. You make a lot of people think because we've got to do business in a different way going forward in this country because this is a teachable moment. In fact, this is a teachable, embarrassing, heart-wrenching, headache-getting, stomach-turning moment. This is also a moment of reflection. We mustn't be foolish. We must never put all of our eggs in one basket. Never, ever do it. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how are you? Hello there. Okay. Hard copy, how are you? Why am I getting that back up? Hard copy, how are you?
Good evening, Mr. McKinney.
Reconcile, I recognize your voice. What's happening?
Man, you got it, man. You're right on point here. And, Mr. McKinney, Ismailian is running a perfect game of propaganda with those wakers. Perfect game.
Well, he has a whole place called the Bahama Nation. I'm warming up to that because he addresses them as citizens of Bahama.
It sounds like fifth column, hey. See, the thing is, Brother McKinney, it's really, and I'm not getting personal, they from a part of the world is ancient people. He's Armenian descent. You know that, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay? And these people, they've been around. They know how to operate in these kind of things. Now, the thing is, Brother McKinney, the government need to hold. See, what Arian Sapute said, he said, if in doubt, what to do?
Leave out.
Leave out. So what I'm saying, they want the government to hurry up and rush this thing and rubber stamp the Chapter 11 from Delaware, which would be a fatal mistake for the Bahamas.
But I think that Christie and the Bahamas government has got to operate smart, and this is perhaps a better move for them with the court thing, what they're trying to do, because really they were blindsided, and if they didn't know, how do you trust somebody if they blindside you?
Yeah, I trust them. And you see, you said something that was an eye-opener to me earlier in your show. You said that those other hotels,
The three hotels.
They're in the name of somebody else.
They're in the name of, they're in a different company name that's owned by Ismailian. They're not a part of the Bahama project.
So what I'm telling you, this man, he know how to wheel and deal. Okay? And I said something yesterday when I said about my perception, but I won't go into that.
No.
That stands with me.
I hear you, but you see, he's a smart businessman. You see,
And he is.
he's a businessman.
You could be a smart businessman.
And he's a businessman with influence.
And the motive behind what you're doing.
I got to run, buddy. I thank you. Many people are holding. And you see, the smart businessman, one who has a good rapport with his people, ought not to be concerned. He has a good rapport with his Blue Nation citizens. After all, you saw them out there today. The lady calls and says about 2,000. She's a part of the employee. And they say they love the man and they trust him. And she says, the way this is going, Christy, they could now call an election because they're ready to kick him out. Now, not many people feel that way. Some people feel sympathetic toward the Christie administration, that they were blindsided. They didn't know. They made some mistakes along the way, no question. But how do we deal with this now as a people? I mean, this is the Bahamas. This is our country. This is, what do you do now? I mean, are we willing to go all the way to save a project to our own detriment? Because, you know, God is speaking here. That's another thing I want to tell you today. God is speaking. You see, sometimes God takes us into troubled waters. Not to drown us, but to cleanse us. Anybody want to be cleansed today? Speak the truth and shame the devil. You see, something is going on here. The people are in disarray. You see, with the last time we were building the Bible, the Tower of Babel, the people started speaking different languages, and they got all mixed up, and the thing never finished. It's biblical. Go check your Bible. We are now building Bahama in the 21st century. But we are doing it in a sovereign country that believes in the supremacy of the Creator. We believe in the supremacy of God. It's in the Constitution. See, God is still a jealous God. The same God from yesterday is the same God today. We call ourselves a people who trust in the supremacy of the Almighty. And I'm telling you, there are people who are a part of this whole mechanism that you see happening here. And I know what I'm saying, so listen. They are atheists, they are agnostics, and they are evolutionists. They're not interested in your Christianity. You need to understand that things what people do sometimes in projects and everything else, they have their own reason. And a lot of our own people who are from the Christian faith, who mommy and daddy them bring them up, and grandma them bring them up on the island and tell them God is real. A lot of them forgetting that, and they putting their trust in horses and chariots. And that's why you see today that you got two sets of people, one down there celebrating and saying they trust in the fella against their own government at a time when we can least be divided. We need to be together. Christie said so, and he's right. So when you see something is happening where there's somebody separating the people, you've got to now, again, and I tell you again today, so you better listen, look to the hills from whence cometh your help. Because we cannot do anything without God. We put God first, and He will take care of us. He promised that. All of these people running around about this and the next thing, you got to understand, even Christendom, got to catch themselves and trust in the Creator. They ain't got no smarts and no wits on these fellas. These fellas been doing this thing before. They got high-powered lawyers. They know what they're doing. Poor little we don't know. But if we got God on our side, there's a joke. God bigger than all of them. And that's all my messages to you today. And I've been telling you that all week, but you don't want to listen. So you see, every passing day of this Bahama saga, we see a different level of foolishness. You don't have to like me for it. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to tell you, God sometimes takes us into troubled waters, not to drown us, but to cleanse us. You then go and get your hands dirty doing fool, and got your minds dirty believing that things and idols are the most important things, and you've taken your eyes off God. Now, I ain't no preacher. I'm just a simple little fellow who's telling you what's in my heart to tell you today. You don't have to take it. But I will tell you this. Every passing day will give you new insight. That's why you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. Watch this talk about Blue Nation. Hard copy, how are you?
Pastor Steve.
Peace and love. Blessings on you, my son.
How are you?
I'm in good shape.
Good. Listen, you know, a lot of us don't really understand who and what we're dealing with.
No, they don't.
No. First of all, let's put things in perspective so that people understand. Mr. Ismailian's world, his reality, dealing with this 3 point whatever it is billion dollar.
3.5 billion.
Right?
3.5 billion.
A $2.5 billion project is nothing new to him. It's nothing extremely big to him. This is nothing to him, money-wise. That's the first thing to realize. His group of friends, and anyone that knows me can tell you, I know I'm talking about from experience, his group of friends throw $3.5 billion around like we throw around hamburgers. That's the first, I'm serious.
Kung fritters, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing is, Mr. Ismailian made a business move. I completely agree with Paul Moss yesterday. He made a business move. Now, the thing is, he made a business move, and you realize that in that business move, he never said anything negative about the Bahamas government. He never once said anything negative about the Bahamas government. His complaint was against the construction company.
He's saying something with the Bahamas government now, though.
Well, the Bahamas government put themselves there. They put themselves there unnecessarily. No one put them in there.
We are disappointed by the government's unorthodox objection in the courts yesterday.
Correct, because he did not put the Bahamas government in the position they are in now. What the Bahamas government should have done, like any business person would have done, is if there's a problem with a business partner, you sit down and you talk with them first, and then you move last.
Yeah.
You don't move
first and then talk
last.
I hear you.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Mr. Ismailian made a move to protect his investment against the contractors who gave him what he said, but he claimed it's shoddy work. I agree with him. And he went to protect himself.
Yeah, we all agree with that.
He said, and he said from day one that he was going to pay 3 weeks' salary for the staff.
He did say that.
From day one.
Yes, he did say that.
So where the government coming from, running around the corner talking about they can pay salaries?
Well, I don't know. That's my dilemma today. I asked that question earlier, and they've already paid it now, Patrick.
Well, that's fine.
They've already paid it.
I mean, they paid it, and I'm happy the workers have been paid. But it was an unnecessary, dumb move to make.
I thought it was premature.
That's a better word.
From my labor, from my vantage point, I just thought it was, and I don't know. Maybe they know more than we know.
Well, the point is this: from what we know, the man said from day one that he was prepared to pay 3 weeks' salary. He said from day one.
Yes.
How they got to jump in to pay the salary today is beyond me. Now, what they've done is complicated the matter.
Well, you see, hold on a second now, Patrick. We must be very fair. We must be very fair. I'd be the first one to tell you that I agree with that on paper. See, Ismailian, what has happened with him in this whole business, he did something untoward. Now, you may say yes, and I also agree that he had to save his position. But you see, there was nothing wrong with him whispering to somebody that this is what he was doing, that Christie had a better chance at handling this from a national point of view.
I agree with you.
See, but hold on now. See, his words are that I'm going to pay you. I got enough to pay you for 3 weeks. Go home, you can be paid. See, but that may be the part of the press release that's propaganda. We don't know that's true. We don't even know if he had the money. He went to the court, to the U.S. district, to get leave to find some monies to clear up to pay the people after he made that statement. Do you understand?
He had $80 million somewhere.
Yeah, but see, the point what I'm making is that why should Christie and his government, to be fair with Christie them, Christie them make a lot of mistakes, but to be fair with them, why should the government of the Bahamas? This is a sovereign, this ain't no little jokey thing, We got a country here. This is our country. This ain't no jokey thing, Patrick. Let me remind you. Why should Christie them trust this man on what he had done, not only to them, but to his lenders? While they were negotiating, don't forget Christie was saying we were sitting there negotiating in good faith right up to the 26th of June. Why would that move be done? And and Christie knows as a very qualified lawyer, and every lawyer in this country knows that, look, you don't just go and file bankruptcy, right? So that's a process. And the process means that the fella was acting contrary and sinister and not in good faith, because if he was, that could not have happened like that.
That is how it looks on the outside. However, if in fact Mr. Christie or if the government or whomever had a query or a question, their first move should have been, as a businessman, to go and sit down with a man and talk to him before you make any move. Because when you make a move, you put yourself in the position we're in now, and
Patrick,
that position is you're going to delay things.
Patrick, I love you. I got to run. I've got many calls on the line. We're going to talk and pick up this conversation again. All right? All right, Sunday coming. You can call the last word too, okay?
All right.
I appreciate it. All right. Hard copy, how are you?
This is Steve.
Thank
Before I say I don't often call just to say something. I call when I have something to say. Just to interject, remember the gentleman called concerning the Bahamas should put together their money?
Right.
We must remember that Bahama is a casino with hotels. Unlike Atlantis, is a hotel with a casino. So this might be the big break for the gambling boys to put together that $100 million.
You suggesting that?
Yes.
Hey, you think they got it?
Yeah, I think they do. And together collectively, I think they have enough pull together to put it together.
So them putting together $100 million is going to do what? Buy equity in Bahama?
No, you just buy Bahama for pennies on the dollar. For the $100 million, you get
you were talking about that. Yes, I see your point.
$82 million for the $3 billion.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But $1 billion of this is already our money. So basically, they'll be buying the $2 billion for $100 million. But let me put it further in context, Steve. Essentially, what is happening here is bigger than what most Bahamians have conceived. First of all, the bankruptcy is completely in order. If you remember when CCA's construction, remember it's China Construction of America and Bahama who signed this agreement. When they signed this agreement, it was signed in America. Many of us asked, why was it signed there? In each of their agreements, they have a jurisdiction agreement as to where litigation is going to happen. You remember the Bahamas is saying we are trying to become a litigation jurisdiction for arbitration? Clearly, you have individuals anywhere in the world sign a contract and just agree that any litigation will occur in the Bahamas. They had in their agreement for any litigation to occur in the United States. And the China Construction Company is well aware of that. What they were seeking is to have the court enforce an order in a foreign jurisdiction to have creditors follow the agreement of these individuals that they all agreed to in providing services or whatever it is to Bahama. They were not asking the court to rule on any type of bankruptcy, simply saying they agreed to follow the rules. Please have them follow the rules of credit that they agreed to when they signed the contract with us. But the bigger problem to this is the deal that Perry Christie had on the table that Sunday. Now, that Sunday, when they were making the deal, first of all, you must understand, when the Chinese came into the Bahamas for Bahama, their intent, as in other countries, was to own this project. And essentially, the Progressive Liberal Party, making a move to preserve jobs, had agreed with the Chinese that they would help them obtain Bahama. And they had a deal on the table for which Mr. Esmeralda will take whatever he has and leave with his Georgie bag. And the China will assume and can finish the deal so they can have jobs in time for the election. The problem is Mr. Esmeralda had a plan B. And I put to you, if this case, and so what they did is when the Bahamian government now is trying to force Esmeralda to move from Chapter 11 into Chapter 7 by not allowing the deadline for Chapter 11 to be met. The problem with that is this, very simple, is that if you were to examine the Bahama deal from its inception, you will see a massive fraud and giveaway of Bahamian assets and monies move around key people and individuals. You will have a disclosure of law firms, individuals, bank accounts.
So the whole thing is to avoid that process.
Yes, and so by forcing him into liquidation, the creditor, which is the Chinese, will then simply take possession.
Yes, of course.
Organization under Chapter 11 require laying out all of the details. Mr. Esmeralda is basically saying, we were in this port together, and you guys tried to flip on me, and I had a plan B, and his plan B worked out extremely well.
But you can
this
tell.
is a geopolitical fight. And the Bahamian people are just caught in the middle of it.
They're just pawns.
And
I've been saying Mopey in the middle. I even been saying OPP.
The Yes. What happens is that when you go back, this ties into, and I put to you, this is the time for the Bahamian people to ask for an audit of all the government accounts since 1990, going back for the Grand Bahama Port Authority, going back for Cable Bahamas, going back for BPC and Batelco as we know it, and you will find that you will see the greatest massive deception that has ever occurred in our country or in any country anywhere for our size. But do not allow these individuals to manipulate what is. And fear will cause us to do that for jobs. The Chinese use the word. Crisis is the word opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to get back our country. Because I would put to you that both the Free National Movement and the Progressive Liberal Party leadership in the past will have a whole new set of answers. And Dr. Miles Monroe said, you will not see them anymore after July 10th. Because they will be tethered to this thing of the past, these ideas of corruption, side deals. He said the tools of the past will no longer serve us in the present, because we will have to be forthright, going back to the constitutional ideals of spiritual values.
I appreciate that.
And I tell you, watch as it unfolds, Steve, and what we need to do is demand the truth. No, not gymnastics from the government. Tell them to allow what a fight in this. This is the big boy fight. Tell the little boy sit on the side.
I appreciate your call. Take 3 calls before the break. Hard copy, how are you? Hi there. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
As we listen to the Attorney General, it's called sovereignty. Our sovereignty comes first. I don't care what the U.S. judges say. Even if we want to extradite you to the States, we've got due process.
I appreciate it. Thank you kindly. We talked about it. Hard copy, how are you?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey, good evening there, Mr. McGinney.
Yes, quickly. I'm running to the break.
Well, Mr. McGinney, like the Bible said, and Mr. Miles Monroe said, we see things that we never seen before. Mr. McKinney, they see, but they don't perceive. They hear, but they don't understand, Mr. McKinney. The situation with Bahama, it seems to me like with critical thing. I mean, with the gentleman was talking about Israeli and the Chinese wanting to own it, and on top of that, at the worst end, S&P is coming over to give us a bad rating. Mr. McKinney, we all know that DEC is in debt, and many other things that is owned by our government is in debt, and we're going to get a big bad rating just because we have a lack of transparency and accountability. And I think the best way to go about this is for the government to start selling off these assets, just like here in Bahamas, where Bahamians could have some shares in it and somehow create some type of economic boom in our country.
I appreciate what you're saying. Thank you kindly. Let's run to the break. This is Hard Copy. Don't go. There's more to come. This is the break on Hard Copy. As we run to the break, we hear that prophecy.
We are now in a moment where the old weapons that kept the Bahamas don't work no more. I speak prophetically that we are now about to enter in the next few days a period of what I call the last moment. From July 2014 to July 2015, there shall be tremendous change in 1 year. You watch. There shall be many people dying. I'm telling you, many will be sick. Many will be removed in ways we can't explain. Why? Because God got to make sure that the place is clear. I speak prophetically. You watch my word in the next 12 months from the day of July 10th. 2:14, there shall be magnificent changes which no one can control. And there shall emerge in the next 12 months leaders you never saw before. There shall be young women and men emerging whose ideas will blow your mind, and they cannot wear the old armor anymore. They shall walk with a new mentality. They shall have a spirit upon them that will be the Spirit of God, and they shall take us into the next Bahamas. I speak to you with my whole heart that God is saying the time for a new leadership has been birthed. It has arrived.
The choices we make can make us, like who we turn to for investment and retirement advice. Choosing CFAL means having a trusted advisor on your side, helping you build wealth and meet your financial goals. We manage pension assets for businesses and offer individual plans to help you design a secure retirement. We can provide brokerage services and comprehensive research support for clients needing a little more investment guidance. CFAL can help you build a portfolio you can be proud of. Visit us at cfal.com. CFAL sees your future.
What's hotter than summertime in the Bahamas? A Junkanoo and Goombay summer in the Bahamas. Get ready for one sizzling summer with 2 exciting street festivals. First up is Junkanoo Summer Festival every Saturday in July. Come see your favorite Junkanoo groups face off at Arawak Heat. And while you're there, enjoy mouth-watering Bahamian cuisine and entertainment. The heat continues into August with the return of the Goombay Summer Festival. Yes, you heard right. Goombay is back. Join us every Friday in August at Arawak Heat for live Bahamian music, delicious local cuisine, authentically Bahamian arts and crafts, and lots of games and entertainment. Junkanoo Summer Festival and Goombay Summer Festival, brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism. See you every Saturday in July and every Friday in August. Visit Bahamas.com/summerfestivals for more details.
Well, what in the world you got in these suitcases you told in the superwash?
Rachel come home with this cat. It's a pretty cat now. But he ain't getting toilet things down park yet.
So he got on the rug?
On the rug? I wish it was only the rug. Homeboy baptized our couch with some of that territory marking spray what they just use.
Well, why don't you get one janitorial service to come in and clean rather than carrying all these cushions to the wash house?
I do that. Now it smell like pine-scented parking lot after Junkanoo. So these go in the superwash.
That cat pee no match with them big boys now, I can tell you that.
You got that right. And when I get them dry, they're going straight to the composter for plastic covering.
I don't blame you, girl. But what you gonna do with the cat?
He going obedient training where he gonna learn how to use the toilet.
You mean the little box?
No. I mean the toilet. He gonna learn how to doggone use that toilet, or he could be in timeout all day.
Hey, Superwash. They washes your presses, it cleans you, and entertains you 24/7.
Oh, I love my island. Oh, my island made. Oh, I love my island. My island made. Oh, I love my island.
Island Made, locally produced products here in the Bahamas and available for purchase. For more information about our products, give us a call at 362-1102 or 362-1113. Island Made brands located in the Bacardi plants, encouraging you to buy Bahamian and support local entrepreneurship.
My island made. We got in the country, that's my island made.
At Henry F. Store Electric Company, we supply all your electric needs for any size project, from residential housing to luxury hotels. We can help you achieve just the right look, from doorbells to chandeliers, table lamps to ceiling fans, wire, conduit, panels, dimmers, switches, plugs, and even tools. And don't forget light bulbs. We have those hard-to-find, energy-saving fluorescent bulbs and more. Henry F. Store Electric, number 135 Matthew Street. Over 50 years of reliability, service, and low prices. We also ship to the Family Islands.
Attention all shoppers. Win over $30,000 in trips this summer when you shop at Solomon's Cartwright and Fresh Market. Win round-trip tickets to New York, Atlanta, Panama, Cuba, Santo Domingo, and anywhere in the Bahamas when you buy any 4 of these brands at a single purchase. Hellman's, Pedigree, Joy, Coca-Cola, Libby, Sun Supreme, Mahatma, Bluebird, Charmin, Clorox, Vitamilk, Swab, Flash, and Robin Hood. Buy any 4 in a single purchase and win $30,000 only at Solomon's Cartwright and Fresh Market, Nassau and Freeport.
Steve talks.
People listen.
People listen. People listen.
Hot coffee on a Friday afternoon. Thank you so much. It's good to be back and good to be talking with you today as I ask you that big question. What now, my fellow Bahamians? What now? And of course, it seems like we are now fast becoming in a state of flux. Could you believe it? People are marching in support and loving Ismarillion today while the government is looking to find monies to pay them, and the government did pay them today, $2 million, they said. In breaking news we got it this evening from the Office of Prime Minister saying that that's what they did today to pay the employees of Bahama. And, you know, this is quite interesting, friends, because you know just how we go as Bahamians, right? The minute people heard the government say in the courts, the words of Damian Gomez, that they're going to pay the workers of Bahama, all the employees. And the way it was said, it sounded as if they were going to pay all the Bahama employees, right? Even those expats. Today, it was an upsetting day in the nation. Did you know that there were people protesting elsewhere today? In other words, while those supporters of Ismailian, who are part of the Blue Nation and citizens of Bahama, those Bahamian workers who went down and gleefully supported objecting to Christie's stands and supporting Ismailian stands, while they were doing that on Goodman's Bay today with placards and the rest of it, there were other Bahamians protesting elsewhere because they sensed that if Christie and them could go and pay these people, what happened to us? I don't know if that means that the Clico people is going to come back marching around again, since they've not heard any official good news from the nation's chief. But certainly today, the people over at Anstown Clinic, they had to sit out to protest the deplorable conditions, they say, at the Anstown Clinic. They say these conditions have been challenging for a while, but they've worsened by the fact that there is no AC and many other things. So they were protesting today. And then down the road to the Ministry of Works on Thompson Boulevard, those workers were protesting today. The many men who have been promised to be paid their hazardous pay has not been paid yet. So today they got together. Notwithstanding the union wasn't really up to doing it, the workers got together anyway and protested. And it's all because they're hearing all this money talk. They figure if the government got money to do this, they got money to take care of our needs. So in other words, the government may be well cautioned and should be cognizant of how people are reacting to the payout that they're calling bailout to pay employees. Interesting, right? Of Bahama. So all of those things, these are things that Mr. Christie has to contemplate. These are things that are weighing heavily upon the nation's prime minister. And you must pray for him. You must pray for him. I call the Christian clergymen to pray for Christie and to see if you can get to him and counsel him. Paul Moss talked about the workers needing counsel. Boy, Paul, I don't know. Some may need counsel, but most of them feeling good. They feeling good. And as they feel good, they've been prancing around in the streets. And they feel so good, man. Johnny Camp, the late Johnny Camp's song, Just Got Paid on a Friday is a joke. That song with Johnny Camp, Just Got Paid. Man, that's a joke. Today, those Bahama workers, they lick it off. You know what I mean when I say lick it off? You know that old hard reggae song from back in the day? Man, when they heard that Christie them announced that they got paid and they was protesting for Ismailian, not against Ismailian, protesting in support of him. They protested against Christie. They get the news that the money in the bank from the government, man, they lick it off.
And it's a Friday evening, boom, the people just died of working. Lord, them hear the disco play, boom. Let them feel like dancing, ain't no summer set. Burrito will be greater with the disco operator. 5-double-18 and a 6-liter. This will be the top sweeter. Still on him just up with the echo chamber. Watch a man.
It was a
Friday play. And they will tear off the game. Them up and step with them casket and them chain. Oh Lord, play for the vibe that keeps them alive. Play this coming, you have to jump and oh, I'ma play LP, say them really love me. Them up to jump and spring, but this that dance and no free. And it's a Friday evening, bam, the people them died of working.
Okay, cut. Mr. DJ, cut. Don't blame me. As the fella said after that song was played, say, don't blame me, I voted PLP. I apologize, because this is not political. Right, Mr. Christie? Thank you kindly. Anyway. Boy, I know some fellas now who could call me, tell me they won that song, because they ain't had it for a long time. Now, back in the day, Man, back in the day when we didn't get off from them construction job in the summer and then finish cutting them people grass and life with key as a summer job. When we reach on the blocks, we lick it off. It was a Friday. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Trust me on that. This is a very, very peculiar circumstance. It will boggle your mind and blow your mind, the things that are going on now. But we must try to stay focused, friends. We must try to stay focused. You know, what is happening here is that all of this is happening as we go down the road to independence. There's a prophecy hanging over our heads in this country from the late Reverend Dr. Myles Munroe, a man world-renowned, loved by all. The world came to the Bahamas to pay him homage on his death, his sudden death. He left us some caveats that tells us that, look, things are about to happen in our town. There's going to be a moving and a shaking. And he made these prophecies from July of 2014 to July of 2015. We are now in the dispensation of that. And people have called me and texted me and say, Steve, we see signs of what Myles Munroe is talking about. We don't only see signs here in the Bahamas, we see signs in the world that will affect the Bahamas. And I say, like what? And they say, like the fact that Obama has already agreed with Cuba that they will open and they will exchange embassies and it's back to normal and the Cold War is over. And that means trouble for the Bahamas because Cuba is the destination of choice for tourists who want to be a part of the mystique, the mystery. I said, well, I didn't see it like that. And he says, yes, that's a part of this whole thing. Things will happen in our country that we've never seen before. Did you ever see before the fellas in the House of Assembly stand up, spoke, resign? Did you ever see that happen in one party in succession? Did you ever see the three senior ministers who's supposed to end the budget debate? Did you ever see them not do that in any time before? You saw it this time. Come now. Myles told you that the weapons that kept the Bahamas are no longer suitable. The time for change has come. He said it's here. He says you see people that you've never seen before rising to the forefront, trying to make the change to take us into the new Bahamas. And look at what has happened with Bahama. Don't miss it. Never before have we had such a mega project that's now in a dilemma to the point where it's spilling out of control every day. There's a wide argument in two different jurisdictions to save the situation. And on top of that, can you imagine, as I was baffled today, how is it that people who were supposed to be looking gleefully toward money was looking gleefully toward the investor and saying, down with Christie and them? And did you see a government stand up in the court and say, we will pay them, and no one knows why? And then the government sends out a release today and says, we have paid them. We're seeing things that we've never seen before. In the conclusion of the chapter. You hear that? In the conclusion of a chapter. In other words, when you turn the page, it's a brand new day. As we look across the landscape, we wonder, who are these new people? Are they ready? This is scary news, you know. You're actually living in history right now. You're actually witnessing things that you've never seen before. Young and old are witnessing things that can be literally the changing of God because of a new dispensation that's fallen upon the country, and at the center of it is a thing that some people worship as an idol that has been stuck. And then God says, I'm a jealous God. You people that I made, you are my people, but you have gone against me.
You've turned your eyes from me. You're looking to someone else for your source. That's the key word, your source. That source that you're looking to ain't the source that you're supposed to be looking to. Because he says, I send you my books, and it says, man's hand will fail you. You trust in horses and chariots, but you're supposed to be trusting in the sovereign God of your country. But you're looking somewhere else. And God simply says that he ain't for that. He ain't down with OPP. Could you imagine people today? Doesn't that boggle your mind that some people are out there saying, look, man, you know, we'll deal with these fellas because we down with Ismarillion. Not that I'm saying that he isn't a great guy, or I just can't, I can't seem to grasp that. Is in light of the government going to pay you and have paid you, I can't grasp it. It is something of a wonder. We're not supposed to grasp it. It is supposed to be a part of the mystery that's unfolding in our eyes. That things are happening fast. You could call it foolishness all you want. But you're seeing it. You're reading it in the newspaper. No matter how much of an atheist you are reading it. You are seeing it. You cannot deny that. I tell you, God sometimes takes us through and into troubled waters, not to drown us, but to cleanse us. Maybe we need a cleansing. We didn't do the dirty wine to bring numbers in. We had pastors who did the dollar wine to bring. You think God ain't tired of that? We done had deals cut left, right, and center on everything that you could think of. We got people who are now in position as senior government people who got all kind of businesses on behalf of the people, and the people ain't got nothing to do with it. They gone in office and they got all kind of money that they making in every entity that you could think of in this country, making money while people suffering. Misery index that way, unemployment that way, people losing their homes that way, children can't eat, poverty level coming up. And he is showing us that we ain't got it right. And in the midst of that, we want to put all of our eggs in one basket and look down west. You have to look to the east. And not in China, I mean the east, in our direction. But we ain't doing it. And even though I tell you every day, you call me stupid, you call me fool, you tell me stop beating up your gum, you play games, you say, preacher, all kinds of stuff. See, there's a message here for you, but you're stiff-necked. Your necks are stiff. This ain't only the people, this the government. The government has been very, very, very selfish. This government, very selfish. Selfish insofar as that they won't hear nobody else. They don't want to hear no John Bostwick. They don't want to hear no Paul Moss. They don't hear no Rollins. They don't hear nobody. They only want to hear the usual suspects, friends, family, and lovers. They don't care about how much we being run over with immigration, illegals. Though they have bought the boats, all ain't reached yet. It don't seem to be no rush. But in the final segment of the message that Independence Morning, Reverend Cooper talked about some things. He said, look at the sea out there. And in my mind, he was saying, look at all the sea and the sand, all the aragonite, and all that is within the sea, the fish, the oil, everything. He says, that is what God has given us on this Independence Morning to feed us and to take care of us. But nobody listened to that. 42 years later, we are off track. And we wonder why. And there's no one government to blame. We would be foolish to believe that. It is a succession of people who don't believe that our Constitution was written in line with where we're supposed to be going. We've lost track. And on this third day of July, as we head toward July 10th, it ain't too late to get back on track. It ain't too late to put things in perspective. It ain't too late to call upon the name of the Lord, to ask him to direct our paths. Lord, direct our paths. Bible says, acknowledge him in all that you do, and he shall direct your path. We need direction on this Bahama deal. We're going to court on Tuesday. We believe in our own intellect, the science of the arts of lying. Lawyers. But nobody says, come, let us gather together at the water and let us pray. You know, there's a time when leadership has to say that. There's no crime. Nobody's going to be mad if Christie says that. Christie knows he has to say that, you know. I'm telling you that today. He knows. He knows he has to say that. He is the one who must. If the man of God don't come to you, you call for him. You know what the kings did in the old days? When there was troubling, a stirring inside the city, they call for the man of God. See, it's a two-way street. See, you like to give these preachers this bad deal that they should go, look, sometimes you got to be called. If you're sick, you call a doctor. If you're hungry, you call somebody who can feed you. If you're tired, you rest yourself. But if you need spiritual guidance, you call the people who are the men of God. And the longer we play games, the worse it's going to get if we don't look the way we're supposed to look. It's a simple thing. You know, just look the way you're supposed to look and do what you're supposed to do. That will be the beginning of the turnaround. But we stubborn. We stubborn. And we say, that's just a bunch of foolishness. Oh boy, if you believe in any bit of God, you know this. What was before shall be again. You shall know that there's a time for everything under the sun. Maybe this time is a time for us to come back and get in touch with your Creator. Just so that the nation could abound, the nation could prosper, the nation could get a new mandate, the nation can start again. Because right now we stale. This is a stale nation, buddy. And I mean the Bahamian nation. I don't mean the Bahama nation. Though that's stale too. Because you see, they're in a stalemate. They can't move. What are we going to do, fellow Bahamians? That's the question I have for you today, you know. What next? What next? What's next on the agenda? Reverend Dr. Ari Cooper. Why need a reminder?
And now, why did God do all of this for us? Why has He so lavishly put upon us His blessings? The answer is right here in the text, that we should show forth His praises, the praises of Him who hath called us out of darkness into His marvelous light. Why did God give us all that sealed there? The sand and the balmy air and all of the blooming flowers, the green grass, and all we can see with our eyes this morning. Why did God bless us? And why did He give it to us? He has given us these blessings. He has brought us unto this day. And I was happy to hear His Royal Highness yesterday in his address say that he has come to present instruments which would give us complete freedom. Why did God do all of that for us? The apostle says God has done that for us, that we as a people in this commonwealth may be an example to others to show that when you hold God's hand, when you let God take control of the situation, when you turn over all matters to God, whether economic, political, social, religious, whatever it is, God, not man, God, has brought us on pivot path today. And above our head, His sun shines in marvelous splendor. And we have no fear of anything. The Holy Spirit is here this morning. He is in control. God has given all this, that the Bahamian people will kneel at the cross. Stay there. Tell God all about it. That the leaders of this country may know that above their heads there's a God somewhere. A God who hears. A God who answers prayer. All they have to do is to travel the throne and tell it to Jesus. We have no fear today. We are not intimidated for the Christian walk on solid ground, on Christ, the solid rock the Bahamas stands. And hear me today, all other ground. You can beat your head as much as you like, but all other ground is bogging sand. Thank God today that God has called us. And as I close this message, oh, today, we can hear the voice of God reaching down from heaven and looking on this crowd and saying today, this is a chosen generation. Yeah, this is a royal priesthood. This is an holy nation. This is a peculiar people. I have called them to be my very own, that they should show forth my praises and be an example to the other world to show that independence through God will work.
My Lord, you've been told, you've heard. Didn't it make you, give you goose pimples? That's the late Reverend Dr. R.E. Cooper, 42 years ago, telling us the same message that we've gotten off track. Only God. All other ground is sinking sand. You look to him, your source, from whence cometh your help. And watch this thing just go away. I believe that's the pivot point. I believe this whole thing was happening is just for this moment, this focus. That's what I believe. Now, you don't have to share my belief. But my friends, if you watch the times and you see what is happening, you will believe. I take 2 calls, read your text message today, and then I try to take it home. Hot copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve, how are you?
Peace and love.
Stephen, I was 11 years old in 1973 on Fort Charlotte when the Union Jack came down and the Bahamian flag went up. Steve, I saw the Blue Angels. This coming July 10th, I will be 53. And on the 13th of July, I will be 54. Steve, we have a spiritual problem in our nation. The Bible says, Steve, that we must walk in the Spirit, and we shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. What is the lust of the flesh, Steve? These are the works of the flesh. They are manifest, which is the adultery, the fornication, the uncleanness, the lasciviousness, the idolatry, the witchcraft, the hatred, the variance, the emulations, the wrath, the strife, the seditions, the heresies, the envyings, the murders, the drunkenness, the revelings. Steve, with these we will not inherit the kingdom of God. We got to crucify this flesh daily and walk in the Spirit of God, Steve.
I appreciate it.
God bless you, my brother. God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
I appreciate you very much, Stephen Surratt. I'd copy final call for the day.
Hi, Steve.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to call you twice in one day.
That's all right.
But let me just tell you from the beginning that what you said in the last three to 4 minutes is absolutely 100% spot on. People who say, oh, Miles Monroe is full of this and that, can say whatever they want to say, but they can watch what's going on.
Absolutely.
Even unbelieve it, but it's happening.
It's right before our eyes.
Right before our eyes.
For all to see.
Is the gentleman that called from Freeport, what's his name? Critical Finger.
Yes.
Is, again, 100% spot on. Because if anyone is foolish enough to believe that the Bahamas government gave away 1,000 acres of land and sold those hotels at 25
million.
$1 and got nothing for it in return, they need to have their head examined. And it all will come out in the wash. See, heads of agreements are uncharted in secrecy for no reason to do. There's a reason for that. And time will bring it all out. And
time will tell.
40 years of nonsense has got to come to an end sometime.
At some point.
And I think this is the time.
Yep, these are the final chapters of that old way of doing things and trying to let this country breathe again with the new generation.
Yeah, and Steve, have a wonderful weekend.
I appreciate it. You too, my friend. So let us go now and take a look at what you've been telling me today by text message. Remember now, today we've been talking about a number of things. We are befuddled. No matter where you are on this particular issue, PLP, FNM, Vanguard, DNA, BDP, NDP, whatever you are, politically speaking, you are befuddled when there are Bahamians who are saying that, look, we hear you, Christy, but, listen, we are with Ismailian because he's making sense. Now, I don't know, and nobody called me to qualify how he's making sense today, and I'm hoping that with time, some people will get to say how he's making sense. Anybody could be told things that they may feel, but the reality is that a man who is doing a development in the Bahamas with our property that we had, because they now got it, with the Chinese money that he had and he spent, and now they're looking for it, and in a jurisdiction where there is no such thing as Chapter 11 for bankruptcy, but in a jurisdiction where there is foreclosure if the people who got the money can come and take possession of the property, which cannot leave this jurisdiction because you can't pick it up and put it in your pocket. But the laws of the Bahamas opens the door for even the creditors who they owe in this development to file quickly for it to be wound up. In other words, liquidate. In other words, get the people money and pay them, because that's what this jurisdiction is all about. And that's the fear of Mr. Ismailian and all those concerned. That's the fear. Because under our law, should we not look at and sanction this international jurisdiction, because we are a sovereign nation, they cannot dictate to us in these things only through bilateral agreements along the lines of extradition and all of those things to do with narcotics that we signed on to. But when it comes to the independence of the courts of the Bahamas, it's a different ball game. And that in itself spells trouble for those guys who went and filed in Delaware and want the locals here to follow their pursuit in this idea for protecting the assets and holding off the creditors until the next phase is written, perhaps where there'll be other players on the scene and no longer the Chinese in tow, and we mopey in the middle of the Bahamas, because whoever comes, the property is here. Whatever happens in the litigation, the property is here. But it may mean a change of players. Does a change of players bring about a change of attitude among the workers, especially those who protested anti-government today, when they have been paid by the government of the Bahamas? I tell you, if you let this thing get in your head, it will surely mix you right up like Kong salad. Here's what people said today, something dead wrong. The government will pay them for the whole month. Ismailian, they say, was only paying them for 3 weeks, and the government will pay them for a whole month. That's what somebody says on text. This one says, they lost me too, buddy. How and when did the employees plan this? This was about the protest today, the positive protest and jubilation and in support of Ismailian. This one says, what now? Question mark. All we can do now is hurry up and wait. This person says, Steve, you need to find out if the workers was paid or promised something, because the way they were let go makes me wonder why they would do what they did today in praising Ismailian. God is watching us. This one says, good evening, Mr. McKinney. Ismailian took Perry Christie as a simpleton when they told the government they were fencing the yard in because of theft. All the while, he was filing his legal papers, what that person says. This one says, good afternoon. You think Clico Peyote next, Mr. McKinney? Or better yet, will the indigent in our country receive a stipend to assist with the cost of that? Captain Kangaroo Christie shuffling his cards to see which hand is best to play for elections in 2017. This one says, good afternoon, Mr. McKinney. Isn't it ironic that the government can find $7.9 million for salaries for private workers who would do its best not to pay what's due to the workers who has been at toil all their lives and can't get an increment that is due to them, but at a whim you can find $7.9 million? Well, the numbers are the Christie done paid today was $2 million. But I get your point. This one says, I'm confused. Is Marillion already gone brainwashed these poor people, eh? Talking about the people who are marching today. There's a video. I think we put a video up on Facebook, did we? Look for it tonight after the show. There's a video of it so you can see it on Hard Copy Facebook. This one says, Steve, I get it. I get it, Steve. I get it. That lady said their boss is the only one forthcoming with information, unlike Prime Minister Christie them. Info. You always tell them that. Information. That's what that person says. Another one says, Steve, he wants to be like the Port Authority, meaning Ismailian. He wants to be like the Port Authority in Freeport. Sound like slavery, Steve. It's sad. I hope he is not one of these guys who lower you to their camp and give you the lethal dose. Slaughter in hundreds. Doomsday. Sounds like Jones and, who was it? It was in Guyana, Jonestown. This one says, boy, Steve, I stopped speculating because I smell a big black and white rat tied at the hip trying to cover up something fishy. This person says, ever since Mr. Christie told us we can afford to go to God, but we still have to come back to him. From he made those remarks, everything he tried to do failed or isn't going anywhere. So yes, God is showing Mr. Christie something, is what I believe, says that one. This one says, man, Steve, you just hit something. My two daughters went to work there, to Bahama, been to college and came back not believing in God. And they handpicked them. Wow. That's what that person says. And so those are just some of the text messages I got today. The others you can read tonight on Facebook if you want to. They'll be posted for you by my able Stefka Komadash McKinney, my beautiful daughter. And, of course, that's why I'm going to leave you tonight. I've got much more that I can give you, but I think that you've had enough for the day. And I think that we have enough to last us going into the weekend. Let us pray that we all are safe this weekend, that we pray for the country and for the leaders, and that something great takes a hold of this country and shake it to the point where we get back on track. And we do, in fact, say that it is good, we believe, when we look at it now, because this has turned out to be something else. It seems now to be getting into internal politics, this whole Bahama thing. And that's, if it gets to that level of politics, to the point where Ismailian is influencing people that this is in their best interest, I hope if they trust him, they really know what they're doing. I hope if they trust Christie, they know what they're really doing. Because the only hand that you should put your hand in and trust is put your hand in the hand of the man who stilled the water. Put your hand in the hand of the man who calmed the sea. You can't go nowhere by believing in others. You got to put your faith and trust in the hand of the man from Galilee. So, Miles said this as I leave tonight, just for you to think about as we go to come back here, God willing, early next week.
God will never drive you from his will. You have to walk away from it. And because you have a will, you got to walk back to it. Sometimes I wish God didn't give us a will. But then we'd be robots. But he gave us that powerful weapon called a will. And we walked away from God. And God says, come back home. Now, I want to show you something. I call it the paradox plan of God. Paradoxical again because it's kind of reversed. God's divine plan for mankind was not progress or advancement. We think God wants us to progress. According to God's plan, God's divine plan is not to take us to the future. Not. His divine plan is to bring us back to the future. Where was the prodigal son's future? Not in the pig pen, not in the foreign land, as they call it in the Bible. His future was where? Right where he left it. Anybody followed me? Young man, listen to me. Everything you're looking for is home. Young lady, listen, I beg you. Everything you're trying to find is in the house. I will arise and go back, he says. Your future is back. I sit with prime ministers and presidents. I tell you, some of you all think, but Pastor Miles, boy, you must be lucky. I ain't lucky. These people are so dumb. They are trying to solve problems, and they can't solve them. And when I say dumb, I respectfully say that now. Because you think, well, this guy is in charge, he must be smart. They are not smart. When you walk away from God, you eat pig food. No matter how much you pay for your shoe, no matter how expensive your dress or your suit is, brother, if you walk away from God, you are eating slop. Everything we need is home. So God says, come back to me. Yeah? Write this down. A tree can never outgrow its roots. Write it down. A fish can never outgrow water. Write this down. We can never outgrow the need for oxygen. Write this down. We have to submit to the divine plan of God. And this plan is what? A backward plan. Calvary came to bring us back.
What now, my fellow Bahamians? What now? That's our show for the night on this beautiful Friday, July 3rd. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home on Hard Copy. We've been brought to you tonight by Commonwealth Bail Bonds Limited, Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, BTC Every Day, Super Value, the Bahamian Supermarkets, McKinney Media Group, for effective PR concepts and advertisements, Island Made Products, Ministry of Tourism, Junkanoo Summer Festival begins tomorrow at the Western Esplanade. AML Foods, Solomon's Fresh Market, and Cartwright. Shop there this weekend. Win over $30,000 worth of trips around the world. Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, New Oriental, Queens. 9 locations around the island. Race Academy, number 1, Chester Close, Ron's Electric Motors, Prime Immigration Services, Sky Bahamas. Professionals in every way, every day. Super Wash with 11 locations. Open 24/7. CFAL, Cleaner Financial Advisors Limited. The All Andros Regatta. I plan to be there on the 8th of July. Come on and go down to North Andros. Be a part of the biggest regatta. You know, if I'm going down there, it's going to be big. Executive Printers. Henry F. Store, the Light People. And Le Bleu Ultra Pure Drinking Water, the official water of Hard Copy. We say good night from Hard Copy. God willing, we see you next week. You have a good and safe weekend. Be good now.